wanted something that was so clear in your mind that you could taste it? You mean like human flesh?
Ready for This sees Charlie finally learn from all her mistakes throughout the show and become the leader she's destined to be. While Charlie's goals throughout the show have absolutely been with pure and noble intentions, it's very clear that she doesn't quite understand her people, both their needs and how they act. You can see this as early as episode 2 with Charlie's hilarious screenplay that she makes Penchas and Angel rehearse. I can't say I'm an expert in drug deals, especially ones in hell, but I somehow highly doubt that this is how they go down.
You look like a kid who could use some devil's dandruff. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Not me. I have to go home and study.
Then of course we have the instance in episode 4 that I already talked about where Charlie tried to brute force her way into getting Angel time off from his work, which, despite her status as Princess of Hell, only made things much worse for Angel. Despite her caring desire to help all the sinners in hell, she can't do that to the best of her ability because she doesn't truly understand them. That's why seeing her learn from her mistakes like in episode 4 is so satisfying, because we see her gaining a deeper understanding of her people, and friends for that matter in Angel Dust's case, which means she can finally start properly following through on her earnest desire to help redeem and save the sinners of hell. It's a good way of showing how even noble pursuits with good intentions can cause harm when they're not enacted with proper care and thought. So while Charlie might not have moral redemption to go through like many of the people coming to her hotel, she does still have her own struggles and hurdles to overcome. And I really appreciate that about her character. It would have been very easy to make Charlie a one-note, carefree optimist who's great at everything for the sake of pushing the development of everyone else forward, but this is a much better approach. I really don't think there's any perfect person, especially not in the setting of this show. So showing that Charlie, who's supposed to be the moral compass leading everyone to redemption, still has her own flaws to deal with is a great way of showing that trying to better oneself is not about trying to be perfect. We should strive to be kind and strong as people, sure, but everyone makes mistakes and screws up in life, and what's important is that you learn from them and try to use what you've learned to become a better version of yourself. It's a really nuanced portrayal of redemption or trying to improve yourself rather than just having a set list of rules for the characters to try and abide by in the show. And that's the kind of redemption and self-improvement Charlie and other characters like Penchas go through in the show. There's definitely still a lot more to do with Charlie as a character, but season 1 gave us a great starting arc for her character, and it all culminates with this song, learning from her past mistakes, realizing the hypocrisy of heaven led by seraphims who don't even truly understand what it takes for someone to get into heaven, and overcoming her feelings of betrayal and distrust with 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒕🔌 thanks to Rosie's conversation with her. She uses all the pain she's been through this season and all the lessons she's learned to just genuinely reach out to her people, not as the Princess of Hell, not as the founder of the Hazbin Hotel, but as someone who genuinely cares about her fellow residents and doesn't want to see them hurt and killed. And that's why she's finally able to reach out to the citizens of Hell, specifically the residents of Cannibal Town in this song, to rally them to her cause. Like, I know the song becomes more comedic as it seems like it was Alistair bringing up the fact that they'll get to eat angel flesh that really rallied the Cannibal Town residents, but I still like to think a big part of it was due to Charlie's ability to really level with and speak to her people. Now onto the song itself. I've heard some people online say they don't like how this song kind of feels like two different songs mashed into one, and I do get where they're coming from with that, but I really dig it. Being able to switch mood or even genre midway throughout songs to convey different emotional beats is part of why I love Hazbin Hotel songs and musical numbers so much. And I think it makes sense in the context of the show. The instrumentals start off slow and you can tell it's building to something. I think this works well for the beginning of the song as Charlie, who is still recovering from her previous outburst, begins to finally gain her footing, so to speak, as she earnestly reaches out to the people of Cannibal Town about the desire to protect their home. It's great seeing how serious and uncertain she starts, but as she continues singing from her heart and gets encouragement from Rosie and Alistair, she gains more confidence in herself as she starts smiling and gaining more presence both with her vocals and physicality, and a spotlight even starts illuminating her. Also, I know I've said it before, but Erica Henningsen's voice is beautiful and I adore so many of the notes she hits in the song, especially the line, "Gotta come into my throne." Then as Charlie becomes more determined, she walks down to the people as she further tries to connect with them, and she's even able to respond to Susan interrupting her song without missing a beat. And then in the middle of the crowd, she leans into her strengths, her unwavering optimism and ability to make anything sound like the funnest time ever. Even something just like seeing more of hell on the way to her hotel. I love this section starting with the line, "Wouldn't it be super to see more of hell?" Because she's not sugarcoating the situation or trying to mislead the Cannibal Town residents, but she's not sacrificing anything that makes her, her in the process. She genuinely thinks they're gonna have the time of their lives making new friends on the way to her hotel, and she's using her beautiful and inspiring voice to convince everyone one of that as well. I love optimistic characters who choose to be optimistic despite the bleak circumstances around them. Not out of a sense of foolishness, but rather genuine hope and the trust they have in the people around them. It takes a lot to stay optimistic and hopeful, and I mean, hell, I wish I could be more like Charlie in that regard. An extermination focused solely on her hotel is fast approaching, and she doesn't even know if the people who stayed at the hotel up to this point will be by her side in the conflict. But despite this, her hope and faith in those people and what she's been doing at the hotel, even if misguided at times with how she failed to understand them, it allows her to stay the happy and upbeat Charlie that the Cannibal Town residents need to see to be convinced to join her cause. I don't know, it might seem silly, but I think it's beautiful. I feel like it might be easy to see Charlie as one note or boring because of how bubbly and happy she is all the time, but that's what makes her so compelling to me. How she chooses that optimism and faith in spite of being in literal hell and dealing with situations that only seem to get worse. So yeah, I like how this part of the song starts to transition to a more upbeat, campy recruitment song. It fits Charlie so well, and I like how the previous section was building to it. Charlie continues to dance and sing around the Cannibal Town residents with infectious optimism that's starting to win them over. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Alistair speeds things along a bit by mentioning the feast of angel flesh they'll get to have. And then we transition to a big chorus as the residents of Cannibal Town offer their full support to Charlie. This part, more than any other song in the show, definitely sounds like something that would come out of an older animated Disney movie. I don't know how to describe it, something about it being a battle cry sung by a big chorus and without the instrumental sound. I don't know, it gives off old school Disney vibes. And that is a pretty big compliment since they used to make some of the best animated musicals out there. I also like the lyrics to their little chant, how it's an upbeat sounding proclamation of these residents ready to fight for Charlie's cause, but it has Hazbin's great use of dark comedy with the lyrics devolving into their desire to taste the flesh of angels. Charlie cuts them off, bringing the instrumentals back to a similar sound to when she was dancing around earlier, as she voices concern over the cannibals' murderous intent. But with Rosie's encouragement, she continues to rally the residents. We don't hear a lot of Rosie singing in the show, but I do like what little we get. Leslie Kritzer has a great voice, and I love the little dance she and Charlie does before the second chorus starts, bringing things back to the more serious and epic scope of the song, taking the serious sounding instrumentals from earlier and infusing them with some of the upbeat nature of the previous sections. I like this blending of the two different instrumental styles. It shows that to be serious, Charlie doesn't have to stop being her happy, optimistic self, that being happy doesn't mean being silly or non-serious, and it's how these two instrumental styles blend nicely together, starting with the second chorus, that makes me have no issue with how different they sounded at first, because they not only tied nicely into Charlie's attitude and behavior in the song, but how they eventually combine into one coherent sound. So long as there's purpose and cohesion, I really don't mind any genre or tonal shifts a song takes, and I can easily say the same for Ready for This. Charlie continues on with her second chorus, standing on top of the Cannibal Town residents now officially on her side, and seeing Charlie finally feel certain of what she's doing with lines like, "I can be the marshal leading the parade, and I can come into my own, and I think I've always known my destiny could never be postponed." It's just so satisfying to see. Whenever I listen to this song, I get filled with the same hype-filled enthusiasm that Charlie has in this song. It makes running red lights all the more fun, let me tell you. After the second chorus, Alistair and Rosie rant about how well Charlie seems to be doing in a really fun pre-chorus as they dance around. I like the way Rosie and Alistair's voices sound together, and the fact that they both seem genuinely proud of Charlie and certain of her success, even comparing her power to that of her father. I know Alistair is absolutely using Charlie in the hotel for his own mysterious evil reasons, he even alludes to this fact in this part of the song, but I do still believe he is genuinely impressed and proud of Charlie in this moment. And as we see in the next episode before the final battle, he has grown genuinely acquainted with the residents of the hotel to some extent, which causes him a lot of stress in the finale song when he realizes he almost died for them. But hey, you can't fight the power of the found family trope, Alistair, and you shouldn't even bother trying. But yeah, I love this little part of the song where Rosie, who is just a delight to watch, and Alistair bond over their shared pride over Charlie's success, because deep down they know that Charlie would have convinced them without Alistair's help anyways, and I'm not coping, you're coping. The song ends with a triumphant chorus as the citizens of Cannibal Town, Rosie, Alistair, and Charlie make their way to the hotel as they prepare for the battle ahead of them. I like when Charlie sings that it is time to lend a hand. A bunch of the cannibals raise severed hands, and how as Charlie walks through the crowd you can see Susan just vibing, now fully on board with Charlie's plan thanks to this great musical number. After the final line, sung by the whole chorus, finishes, the song does reel itself back a little bit with a final line as Charlie hopes she's truly ready for the upcoming fight. And I dig that as the closing note of the song. It makes sense that Charlie is still worried about what's to come, so ending the song on a slower, more somber note, kind of similar to how the song started, is a nice way of bringing this musical number full circle. And it doesn't invalidate the hype or positivity that the song has been building up to this point. It just shows us that Charlie, even with her hope and determination, is still just a person who fears the uncertainty of what's to come, further adding to why I think she's a perfect example of an optimistic character written well. It's definitely an easy pitfall when writing these characters to make them stupidly happy and upbeat all the time without ever challenging their outlook on life or their situation, but Charlie has been through a lot up to this point, and that's why it's all the more powerful to see her lean into her best habits when it comes to recruiting Cannibal Town through this exciting and upbeat song. So to summarize, Ready for This is a fantastic culmination of Charlie's character growth throughout the season, given full impact thanks to both Erica Henningsen's beautiful singing and Hazbin Hotel's amazing as always animation. While there is still a lot left for Charlie to go through as a character, seeing her finally ready to take charge as the leader she was destined to be, inspiring the masses with her voice just like her mother once did, it's great stuff.